Right now, we welcome in Mike Rodriguez from 105.3 The Fan. Mike, thanks for coming in.
Great to be here.
And talk a little Rangers now. Josh Hamilton, earlier this week, or I guess last week now, said the problem he's been dealing with is plate discipline. We could have guessed that one, and trying to quit chewing tobacco. Do you really think that's had so much of an effect on him since May that he's been this bad in June and July?
Well, first and foremost, what a sloppy game by the Rangers today. I mean, this was ugly. It looked like an exhibition game at the end of it. And I guess if there was any good news today, Hamilton didn't get in an argument with any of his base coaches, because that was awful yesterday, and I'm sure that's going to be a hot topic not only on 105.3 The Fan, but throughout the Metroplex tomorrow. They're saying that this could be because of the dip. They're saying it could be because of other issues off the field. There is definitely something going on with Josh Hamilton. You don't blow up the way that Josh Hamilton blew up yesterday on the base paths if you're not at the peak of frustration. The good news for the Rangers is that he's hitting better. You know, he's still hitting the ball well. He's helping the team win some games. He's playing a big part in their offense. He's back in the third spot in the lineup. But there's something going on with Josh Hamilton. Will the media keep hounding this guy, or will the media just kind of sit back and just let this guy play out the rest of the year and hope he leads the Rangers to another World Series?
Now, whenever the media crowds around him in the locker room, it sometimes gets interesting. It did get interesting last week. This is what Josh had to say about his contract.
There's nothing going on in contract like negotiations or anything at this point.
I think they wish it was.
What's that?
It'd be a lot cheaper for them right now. But it won't be at the end of the season.
Okay, you talked about
and he's exactly right.
No,
he's exactly right.
He might be right, but surely he can't think fans will take that well when he says, oh, it's cheaper now, but at the end of the year it's not going to be. Well, basically almost saying, hey, I'm leaving.
Let's compare Josh Hamilton to what happened with Philadelphia Phillies pitcher Cole Hamels. The Phillies did not want Cole Hamels to reach free agency. They knew that once Cole hit the end of the season, he was going to be a free agent. They were even trying to trade him. He was a hot name here. The Rangers might be after him. But general manager in Philadelphia said, listen, I want to keep my guys from hitting free agency, because once they hit the free agent market, boom, their price tag goes up. There's always a team that comes in late, overpays for a player. There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to look past a lot of problems that Josh Hamilton has had in his career and overpay for him. Specifically, the New York Yankees, I think, are going to give this guy a ridiculous contract. So the Rangers, if they were smart, they would be negotiating right now with Josh Hamilton and getting the best deal possible right now for Hamilton.
Well, let's just real quick, what do you think is going to happen here at the end of the year? He's going to go to free agency. What kind of contract is he going to get?
I think he's going to test the market. I think he's going to get some ridiculous offers, and then I think, what's Josh been saying? God's going to tell him where to go.
Yeah.
Maybe God will tell him to stay with the Texas Rangers. Ironically, Hamilton is a great fit for the Rangers, and I think the Rangers are a great fit for Hamilton. So at the end of the day, the two might just say, you know what? This might be dysfunctional at times, but we work well together.
We'll have to wait and see. Well, the Rangers did add a couple pieces here at the trade deadline. Not some big names that some people were expecting, but they did get Ryan Dempster from the Cubs. Now, his debut didn't go as well as many would have hoped. He hadn't given up 8 runs in a game this season. And he hadn't given up in actually his last month in the International League, and he did that in one outing here. But we should expect to see much better things from him going forward, I would think.
He's pitched very well in the National League over his last 7 starts, and this last one was just kind of one of those starts that pitchers have where they just didn't have their stuff. Could have been nerves, could have been adjusting to a new ballpark, could have been the travel. A lot of things go into that. But I think Dempster's going to be a guy in the rotation the same way that Colby Lewis was. You know, a better than 500 pitcher, a guy that might give you a couple of really good starts in a postseason game. Giovanni Soto, another player that the Rangers acquired at the trade deadline.
Former All-Star.
Former All-Star, backup catcher, Rookie of the Year. He was one of the only guys in that Rangers locker room to say, hey, listen, I know what he's all about. I know what Dempster's all about. We're getting a good pitcher here in Texas. Just give him some time. This guy's been a dominant pitcher in the National League at times in his career, and Giovanni Soto is confident that Dempster can do that here with the Rangers.
Now, Dempster makes this rotation look totally different than it did at the beginning of the year. Taking a look, of course, you and Matt Harrison were there, and Derek Holland, but now you have Dempster and Feldman. It's been a revolving chair in the rotation. Do you think this is the final 5? This is what they're going to go with?
We hope so, barring any injuries.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's been one of the problems that I think we're worried about. Guys like Derek Holland, you know, we want him to stay healthy. Neftali Feliz is out for the year with Tommy John surgery. He was supposed to be in the starting rotation. Scott Feldman, how about Scooter pitching like a 17-game winner again, and Mr. Reliable. So, you know, hats off to Scott Feldman for kind of earning that spot back in the rotation. If you're going into the postseason, you need one of these guys to get hot, and that's the guy right there. Yu Darvish is my guy that I want to get hot, lead the starting rotation, be your game one starter, and be a phenom again. I think he's a little sluggish right now, but I'm hoping Yu Darvish can kind of take some time, kind of recharge himself, and come September, he puts together a nice stretch run, and he is that guy that we all say, hey, Yu's got to get the ball in game one of the playoff series, no doubt about it.
And one more thing I want to touch on real quick. It happened today. Roy Oswalt was expected to be in the starting rotation. He came out of the bullpen today and was lights out. But then now people are saying he didn't want to go back in the game. He refused to go back in the game. That was on Twitter today. What do you make of this situation?
Apparently a very delicate situation between Roy Oswalt today and manager Ron Washington. Oswalt goes 2 shutout innings, throws 30 pitches. Washington wants him to go 1 more inning. He tells Wash, no, I'm done. I'm done. I'm good for the day. This is another one of those stories that I think is going to make the headlines tomorrow. Roy Oswalt was a premier pitcher in this league. He was one of the best of the best. Now he's been told, hey, you know what? We're going to put Scott Feldman ahead of you. We're going to put Derek Holland ahead of you. He had a couple of bad starts. He waited to sign here with the Rangers, and now I think he's disappointed. It's going to be very interesting to see whether or not the Rangers and Roy Oswalt can have a healthy relationship the rest of the way if they're already having problems with his new position.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Mike, sit tight. We'll be back with you a little later. All right, we welcome back in Mike Rodriguez from 105.3 The Fan. Mike, what are the chances that this is not the same old story this season?
What are the chances? That's probably the million-dollar question on 105.3 The Fan and our website, 105.3thefan.com. I think you have to be pessimistic at this point of the season because all of these injuries so far at training camp. 17 guys were held out of the big blue-white scrimmage that they had today out there in Oxnard, and 17 guys are hurt. Some of them are offensive linemen, some of them are wide receivers, including Miles Austin, and some of them are, you know, up-and-coming prospects like Morris Claiborne, who is out, you know, with a sprained MCL. So that's not a good sign. But my biggest concern is probably on offense right now with the offensive line. And is Miles Austin having the same old problems that he's always had with those hamstring injuries? And that's not a good sign at this time of the year for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, Tony Romo obviously trying to take the next step and get to a Super Bowl, and he knows he's being judged on that, whether he gets to that point. This is what he said earlier in camp.
It's ultimately what we're judged by, and that's ultimately what I want to be judged by. I've been around now for 10 years with the Cowboys, so I get a chance to feel how passionate our fans are, and I love it. It excites me to know that one day we'll have a chance, the ability, if we just keep continuing to get better and improve, to bring that back.
He showed signs of improvement last year. I think he's going to continue showing signs that he might be a better quarterback, the type of quarterback that might not win you games, but not lose you as many games as Romo lost you in the past.
Yeah, a lot of people are optimistic about DeMarco Murray this season. Murray's optimistic about this season as well. Here's what he had to say.
I still have a long way to go. You know, I'm still trying to work hard and get the plays down, the blocking assignments down, but I'm heading in the right direction. And Coach Skip is steadily coaching me all day, working me hard, and that's what I need. So the sky's the limit, and I'm excited to see, you know, how I'll do this year.
You know, Murray busted on the scene last year. Are we expecting a big year out of him?
I hope so, and it looks like he's healthy, and he's telling everybody that the ankle injury is behind him, that he's feeling fine. He even did some training in the offseason with Ultimate Fighters. He goes out to Las Vegas, of all things, and trains like a UFC fighter would train. He was talking to me about that at Valley Ranch this offseason. So Murray's healthy. Is Felix Jones healthy? Can he stay healthy? If they're both healthy, I think the Cowboys have a very good and dynamic 1-2 punch at running back.
Now, health, big concern so far this training camp for the Cowboys. Here's a list at some of the notables that are out, and we talked about it. Miles Austin, the hamstring, that's a big concern. You got Philip Tanner, broken hand, Jenkins, Claiborne. They're all out. Coach Garrett, though, not too worried. This is kind of a regular thing for him.
I think injuries are a part of NFL training camps. They've always been a part of NFL training camps. I think sometimes when you have injuries at certain positions, that becomes that rash and that luck or bad luck thing that we were talking about the other day. Certainly in the interior of our offensive line, we've had different guys get banged up different ways, and you just have to manage it. You try to make your next best decision as a coaching staff as to how to bring these guys back and who to replace them with.
Now, there was a weird occurrence just this weekend at Cowboys camp. You don't see it very often. Rookie free agent wide receiver Cole Beasley quit the team Friday for personal reasons, and he was back this morning. And, of course, the media caught up with him after today's practice.
I mean, I just had some personal issues that I had to go home and take care of, and now I'm back and ready to focus on football.
We're excited to have him back. What happened over the past few days, in my mind, are done. All those issues, they're behind us. What matters is what he does now. We're moving on. Put that in your rearview mirror. Don't worry about it and go forward. And it's important for him to demonstrate that passion and hunger that he's shown in the past to us, and I told him that.
Now, what's so weird about this was Jason Garrett said that Beasley came into his office and said that he lost the passion of playing. You know, he just didn't have the heart left. He didn't want to play. Now we hear from Beasley today saying, no, this was a family issue. This was something personal.
Yeah, weird.
So it can definitely some conflicting stories on a player that probably won't even make the team. But he made the headlines. Yeah. I mean, hats off to him.
Maybe it's because he's from SMU too, right?
SMU kid, and you know, he's been an underachiever his whole life, and that's why everybody was a little puzzled. Like, you're quitting now? Yeah. You've made it this far, and now you're quitting? So a very puzzling story, but he's a good kid. I mean, you hope he turns things around and he at least gets a fair look during these preseason games.
Yeah, real quick, last season it was Rob Ryan making waves in training camp, talking about how they were going to beat the Eagles. This season is Jerry. Take a look.
We want you to come to that stadium and watch us beat the New York Giants, okay?
Jerry Jones owns this football team, and he has owned it for 23 years, so he can do anything he wants.
What do you think about Jerry sounding off there a little bit?
At least he didn't use the words glory or anything else related to glory in this reference, so Jerry's having some fun out in Oxnard. Maybe a little too much fun.
Yeah. All right, Mike Rodriguez, 1053 The Fan. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up on Inside Sports.